Hi there, Steve Kaufman here, the Linguist on Language blogs. I want to follow up on the discussion we had about SRS, spaced repetition systems, which I tend to be a little bit of a skeptic on. And I want to talk about that and about learning Chinese characters. I believe that the most important thing in language learning is how motivated you are, how interested you are, how emotionally attached you are to what you're doing. So, for that reason, all the scientific, supposedly scientific explanations about how you need to review something 20 minutes after first seeing it, and then X hours, and then X days and stuff, I just don't buy it because words attach to us in different ways for different reasons, some of which might be explained, some of which are not explainable. To have some algorithm which dictates that you must review it every day so that the algorithm can be accurate, so that you meet the word again in 7 days, in 10 days, in 15 days, whatever it is. Even if it works, I don't want it. I'm not interested in it. I like reviewing flashcards. I enjoy it. As one of the commenters at my blog said, it's a bit like doing, your scales before your piano. I mean, it's a good exercise. It helps you focus on the language. It helps you notice certain things. But you're not going to, I mean, I've saved over 30,000 words in Russian. I'm not going to review them all in some Anki or super memo system. That's not me. However, other people who like to do it, fine. I think it's very important that you find the type of language learning that you like. Now, but it's not obvious to me that time spent, the hour you may spend, or half an hour you may spend religiously reviewing your flashcards daily, is time better spent than listening to something or reading something of interest to you for that same period of time, because we only have so much time available. Today I study Russian. I have an hour and a half a day between sitting in the car and exercising and so forth. A little bit of Portuguese here and there. I mean, I have a limited amount of time. In 1968, I was sent to Hong Kong by the Canadian government to learn Chinese. That was my job, period. I had to do it. I was spending 5, 6, 7 hours a day doing nothing but I took time out to play tennis, go for a run, go watch a movie, go and eat, and court my future wife. But 5, 6 hours a day or so was spent learning Chinese. In eight months, I learned 4,000 characters. I learned enough to write an exam, the British Foreign Service exam, that required me to translate newspaper editorials from English into Chinese, from Chinese into English, to write again by hand, all of this by hand, diplomatic note. So I had to learn all these characters. What did I do? We didn't have high-6 system for learning kanji. We didn't have my system, super memo. I took a typical squared exercise book that a Chinese school boy or school child used to have, and I had a flashcard cards, 1,000 of the most common, most frequently used Chinese characters, and I would take 10 to start with, and I would write the first one down, this squared exercise book, and write it 10 times. Then I would place it 3 columns over, but I would write the meaning or the sound, and then I'd pick up another one and I'd do the same. And within about 3 or 4 of these, I'd run into, just by working my way up and down this the columns in this squared exercise book, I'd run into the first character again. Following spaced repetition principles, I'd run into it before I'd forgotten it completely. And then I would repeat it, and I would write it another 10 times. And then I would move that further to the right on my exercise book. And I would keep on doing this with my 10 characters until I kind of halfway knew them, fully realizing that I would forget most of them. So I figured if I got a 50% survival rate, that was good. I eventually got up to 30 a day. But then I started doing it less and less religiously, and past the 1,000 or so that were in my box, mostly when I encountered new characters, I would write them out 5, 6, 7 times, and that was good enough, because there are connections. And the same is true in learning vocabulary. There are connections. So you have to start focusing on connections. In the case of characters, there are components that repeat These characters appear in compound with other characters to form certain meaning. So you have to become very attentive to how things work together. Just like when you're learning vocabulary, you're learning how these words change, which words they're often used together with. You're starting to notice things, and so you notice them when you're reading. You notice them when you're listening. So basically, that's all I did. So a bit of a short-term SRS, homespun variety for the first 1,000, and thereafter heavily oriented towards a lot of interesting reading, so that during this 8-month period, most of my time was spent reading and listening and learning about modern Chinese history, ancient Chinese history, the thoughts of Mao Zedong, because 68, the Cultural Revolution, Chinese literature of the 20s and 30s, Lao She, Mao Dun, people like that. So I got all of this. I must say I didn't religiously review my characters. They kind of just came in a sort of organic way. I'm a bit of a Taoist. In my book I mentioned Zhuangzi. Do what you like to do. Do it often. Enjoy what you're doing. Follow your interests, and you'll get there. So, and I'm going to keep my videos short because I'm having all kinds of trouble moving from iMovie. In fact, it doesn't work anymore from iMovie to Google. I don't know what they've done. They won't let me change my email address at Google. I don't know what they expect. I'm happy to pay if that's what they want. They just set you up in a catch-22 situation where you can no longer upload movies from iMovie. That's completely retarded. But anyway, so now I have to load them to QuickTime, and that takes forever, and sometimes it fails. So hopefully this one will get through. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.